We're excited to do this. It's been a while since we've done a live stream like this, and we're using Zoom now since Zoom is the default way for people to stay connected via video. And I have to say, for me and Jeff, I'm pretty sure this is true for you, and I know it is for all of us. One of the most kind of satisfying and the rewards of kind of working on Legion M and everything that we do and all the time that we spend on it is sharing news with our community and just seeing your reaction and hearing your reaction. I mean, it really is. It's the fuel that keeps us going. We are kind of more energized than ever right now, and we're excited. I mean, so I'll kick it off, Jeff, and maybe you can talk about some of this as well. We opened round 8. I'll let Jeff speak to round 8, but if you haven't heard by now, and you'd have to literally be living in a cave to not have heard, we signed a deal for a TV series, which is it's truly like a major milestone. And the reason we're so excited about it is it really is a kind of turning point, I think, for the company. I mean, if you look back at when we first started Legion M, we had come up with a phased approach. I don't know, many of you were there, and you may remember we brought that slide out on multiple occasions where we were going to go through a process by which we would ultimately kind of graduate to a point where we were packaging and selling our own projects. And we're there. We did it. We've done it in the last 6 months twice now. We have 2 projects. I'd love to share more details about the streamer project, but we're under NDA, and because it's our first deal with this major streamer, we absolutely positively do not want to do anything that would jinx it. We do have their permission to describe it the way we're describing it, which is better than not telling you about it. There was a point in time where we thought we might have to go almost a year without even telling you about it, which would have made it even crazier. But we're really excited to share it, and we cannot wait to tell you what project it is and who the streamer is and all the other, because there's a lot of other elements to that project that we haven't shared yet that are really like amazing and exciting. And so anyway, congratulations to all of us, and thank you for your support. I mean, we say this all the time, but it's true. We probably, if Jeff and I were just out there trying to sell and package a TV series by ourselves, I don't know that anyone would give us the time of day. But because we're owned by an incredible community of fans, people are paying attention to us, and we were able to attract the right people and attract the right partners, put this project together and sell it. And so it's we'll talk a little bit later in the business side of it, like what it means for Legion M, but suffice it to say, it's good news. We're excited. You should be excited. It's a real game changer for Legion M.
I totally agree. And I think it's really exciting for kind of two reasons. One is every project that we launch, if you think of it, is kind of like a swing for the fences. And, because every project that we create has the opportunity to go on and become, either a hit or hopefully even a franchise. At one point, Game of Thrones was nothing more than a book series that somebody licensed and said, hey, I want to try and turn this into a TV show, and so all projects kind of start like that. And so the way that we kind of look at the business is that we're trying to find every day new ways that we can harness the power of a community like this to find the best projects, to attach the very best talent to them, to bring them in and try and improve our odds of success getting it sold. And then once it comes out, to try and bring people out and promote it and market and get as many people there so that hopefully we can make the difference. we always say, like, we can't make a bad project good, but we might, we can help a good project find its audience and maybe turn it into a hit. And so, those are the sorts of advantages that Allegiant can bring. And so, every time we get to take a swing for the fence, I think is huge for us, because, if any one of these hits, it can make a quantum difference for Legion M. But this one is also really special for us because it's the first, and the first is always the hardest. And now that we've demonstrated to people that we can take this jump and we can take an original property that that we're starting with and sell it to a streamer, it really bodes well, because now when we go out and talk to new, IP holders, whether it's an author or a comic book creator or a screenwriter or something like that, we can point to this. And when we're talking to other streamers and other partners and producers, it's just, I think it's hard for me to understate how big of a step it is to, get from 0 to 1 is always the key with the startup. So, yeah,
we feel like this has the potential to, open things up pretty dramatically, and we're already seeing the results of that. And so, we, as because we've announced a lot of them, we have several more projects in the works. And, when you've got a major deal like this, Hollywood tends to be, I don't know, like, it's a little like a lemming community, like that, when something's hot, everybody wants to work with them. So once you've got some momentum, then momentum attracts more interest and more momentum. It's good news. And, we should talk about Man in the White Van, because we haven't really had a chance to talk about that since we've announced it. As you know, we've been working on that project, developing it for, I don't know, probably close to a year now. And it's in production. Not only did we package it, get it all together, bring in the finance, find a finance partner, which we'll also talk about. But it's literally in production. I see Matthew Conkling is there. Terry P is there. They're on set. Taylor is in Shreveport. We're shooting a movie right now that Legion M is making. And just to be clear, we have been involved in a lot of projects, and we've invested in projects, and we've even helped, produce some of those projects. But this is a project. This isn't someone else's project that we're contributing to. This is our project. This is a Legion M project that other people are contributing to. And again, I think it's another sort of rung on the ladder that Legion M has achieved, that makes it easier for us to take our next movie, like Girl with No Name, or all the other projects that we've got in development, and to go and define and go get those projects made. So I don't know, Taylor, do you want to give any updates from the set, or?
Sure. I mean, I feel like such a fraud sitting here in the hotel room in Shreveport while Matt Conkling is literally sitting on location at the house right now. Here, I'm going to unmute you, Matt. I'll unmute.
And Terry P as well. I don't know if she's on set.
And there's Terry P, who's sitting in our base camp production.
Oh, and Terry Lubroff.
Oh, there she is. I was hoping
she have a celebrity sighting.
Terry,
yes.
you can unmute
Terry
yourself
Lubroff.
if you want to.
Oh, they just unmuted us.
Right?
Just got a call. Okay, she's coming.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I know. Here she is.
Oh, hey, Terry.
It's a Terry sandwich.
With nothing in
Sandwich. How are things going?
Great. 2 weeks left. We're almost done.
Wow.
The weather is beautiful. It's cooperating with us today.
Mm-hmm.
The big drama on set today was there was a mouse on set and a bird.
And the mouse isn't, let me guess, the mouse isn't union, so
No,
we had to eject
problem.
it.
Yep.
the horses arrived today. We're going to start doing stunts with horses and in the next few days. Very exciting.
And the horses are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much planning happening for all of these stunts. We have to keep our actors and our stunt people super safe. On a Saturday night, we did a stunt with someone falling out of a moving vehicle at was probably 30 miles an hour, maybe 40 miles an hour.
In the middle of the night. So no lights, like really, really dark. Yeah. It was cool.
But it was super exciting and you know, one of those movie magic moments that we were all very proud of to be part of.
You know who was also really excited?
Who?
The 30 million mosquitoes that joined us on set. It was really fun. We both. On here, let me tell you.
So Terry, what's it like being on set? I've heard it's super glamorous. Like you sleep in late and you're being pampered all the time. I mean, is that really what it's like?
Well, here's what it's like. First of all, we're always wearing masks. There's never a break from the masks ever.
Nope, I don't let it.
Second of all, it's always, at least on this shoot, it's unbearably hot and humid. We have dealt with rain and thunderstorms, lightning, floods, mud, mosquitoes. What else? Coyotes howling at us in the middle of the night.
Yes,
literally surrounding us on all sides. We were like,
yeah.
What movie are we making?
It has not been easy. The hours have been tough. I mean, since it's like kind of a horror movie. I don't know what it is.
It's a thrill. It's a suspense.
Suspense thriller. It's night shoots, so it's really late hours. Yeah. It's very exhausting.
We start work at like a lot of times 8 p.m. and you know we're usually 6 p.m. and we end at 6 a.m. Sometimes we go into overtime and it's 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Today was a normal day. We started at 9 a.m. and we'll end at 9 p.m. tonight. It's 12-hour days.
Yeah.
Terry, I know we had a really great experience with some of the talent. Do you want to talk about that, just what they've been like?
Oh, the talent has been outstanding. Madison Wolf is our lead, and she is the most professional, like get down to work. She comes prepared every day. She always has great ideas. She, you know, she's like, I want to do my own stunts. She's a terrific horseback rider. And she's just game for anything and just lovely to be around. And she set the tone for the entire cast.
Yeah.
So, you know, Breck Basinger, same way. Sean Astin, Ali Larder, Gavin Warren, who is 13 years old, playing 8, by the way, it is also just, you know, everybody from the top down is unbelievably professional and just lovely to be around. And I feel really lucky because when you look at them as a family, I don't know if anybody's seen any of the Instagram photos that have come out, but they look like a real life family. Like we could not have cast it any better.
Yeah. When they first sat together in the kitchen of the picture house, they got along so well. Yeah. Like that first day, we just let them talk and we were just sat around and just let them get to know each other. And they just gelled so quickly and easily that we were like, this is going to be a great
they did. They really liked each other, like genuinely really liked each other. And we're sad to leave. When Ali Larder left, she was in tears. Like it was just, it's been a lovely experience.
Yeah.
Well, cheers to you guys. Thank you for being there and, you know, doing all this hard work. We're all so excited.
Working through extraordinary circumstances between COVID and the, you know, hurricanes and tropical storms. I know that had a huge impact on the early days of production. So
it's been I would say it's been difficult. We're kind of wading through literal mud to get this movie done.
It hasn't helped. The good news, I mean, when we first started, it was a little bit, you know, nerve-wracking because the positivity rate here in this area was so high. And we were all coming into this incubator here of COVID, and we had to figure out how to keep everybody on this production safe and negative for, you know, however 6 weeks. That's very difficult.
Even more than that.
Or more than that because of pre-production.
Yeah.
But it was very, very difficult. We're testing everybody 3 times a week, hoping that they self-quarantine when they're not here, stay in the hotel as much as you can, clean everything. You know,
everybody's been so cooperative.
I'm supplying PPE as much as I can. And, you know, it's a lot of testing and working with local laboratories, which helped us a lot. It's not cheap, all this COVID testing that we're doing for production. And we were able to get a really find a great partner here locally with a laboratory, with LSU, and it's been great.
It's not cheap, but I'm sure it's a lot less expensive than having to shut down production, or like that's the thing. Like a lot of people don't realize, but a huge part of the challenge of money making is the fact that all of your money you're spending over a very short window of time. You're talking about millions of dollars that are being spent over the course of 6 weeks, 8 weeks, sort of thing. And the problem is that if something happens, whether it's a storm or somebody getting sick or an injury, you've rented all the equipment, you've paid for all the venues and all the people to be standing around, and you don't get that money back. And so that's why COVID has been it's a really critical thing. There's a lot of regulations that we have to work around. There's union regulations that we have to work around to keep everybody safe and to protect, the investment in the film. And so, you guys have just been killing it. And we were very fortunate to have someone like Terry who could come in and anchor this for us.
Terry.
This Terry.
Terry.
Both Terry. Well, a lot of people tuning in might not even realize, Terry Pignon, that, this is your day job. This is what you do for a living. So you really have been doing. I remember since the first, cases of COVID, you were running those tests for the lab that you were working at. So we really
it was kind of convenient that my job, the pandemic started to wane down a little bit, and you guys needed a COVID compliance officer on set, and I was like, all right, let me see if I could pull this off and continue working actually from here. So it's been a challenge, but very interesting, because I don't think the COVID safety officer on a film set is going to go away anytime soon. So we're probably going to have to deal with this for another few years on productions. So it was good. It was good to get our feet wet with it here, and we've learned a lot. And I think we have a better sense of how to handle it better on the next one. And so it's been challenging, but interesting and fun. Right? This is the stuff I do. So it's very interesting to see how it's handled on a film set.
Well, let me tell you, Michelle and Terry certainly know how to put on gloves faster.
And I know everybody's nostrils here by heart.
Tell everybody.
Yep.
Hey, Terry and Jerry, before you go, someone posted a question, and I've seen this post in the Facebook group as well, but I don't know, Terry Lubroff, if you want to comment on the IATSE strike, and is there any potential impact of that on this production or on Legion?
Yeah, it's such an excellent question. It was a question, in fact, that we had up until, I don't know, was it Saturday night? Mm-hmm. Our IATSE representative here in Shreveport came to visit the set and talk to everyone and just make sure that everything was going well. One of the questions that we asked was, will the strike affect us? And as it turns out, the contract that we're under for this particular movie doesn't expire until 2022. So a strike will not affect this film at all. We're going to be able to finish the film. We're going to be able to finish post. Even if they go on strike, our contract is not affected. So we're very lucky that we're under a different contract, and we support all the hardworking people of IATSE in their fight to get better wages. And we're excited for them to kind of go on this path, I guess, to try to fight for what they think is right. Mm-hmm. It's been interesting being on a set where that's being talked about a lot, and how hard they work. We have guys lifting 400-pound dollies 3 times a day up and down stairs. It's a really hard job.
Crazy hours, and it's very demanding, so they deserve every bit of what they're asking for.
It's a huge
and we have Matt Conklin here.
I just saw him.
Yep, I'm right here.
Matt's in the van, I think, isn't he?
Yep, I'm in the van.
Wait.
Yeah, Matt, how is the van doing?
The van is actually the only car that has not broken down on set.
Because Matt Conklin made it so.
Yes. We're gonna need that van.
I'll tell you, it looks really menacing. This dinky little Econoline van from, wow, you never even think about it, but the art department made it look so, it's
creepy.
It's creepy. You just want to look away.
Well, and just so everyone knows, I mean, the movie is like, we're really treating, you'll learn more about it when you see it, but we're treating the van almost as a character in the film. So it really needed to have that personality and character, and exactly what Terry Pignon is describing. Hey, by the way, while we're talking about Man in the White Van, I want to give a shout out to Garrison, our financier. And we haven't had a chance, I don't think we've talked about this live, but just so everyone has some background, we made an announcement a few weeks ago. Garrison Film is our partner. They are financing this movie completely, which is really incredible. So we have a independently financed film that we'll be able to take to market. But they're in the process, they're creating a really unique and innovative new type of film fund, I guess, is the best way to describe it. They're doing a creative strategy of a reverse IPO into a publicly traded company, so that people that want to invest in, a straight film financing entity like that can do it knowing that they've got a publicly tradable stock. So anyway, it's kind of an interesting model, and we love new and unique and interesting models. We've gotten to know their team pretty well. They've been absolutely supportive of this project and really easy and nice to work with. And if they're successful with their endeavor, their goal is to raise enough money to finance, 4 to 5 films a year. And we're their first partner. So, it's conceivable that Legion M could be the producers that are producing a lot of those projects and developing and packaging and producing those projects. We've already had conversations with them about our other projects, and they are very interested in them. So we believe that the Garrison Film partnership, it's not only good for Man in the White Van, it's absolutely amazing there, but it could be a real differentiator for us going forward as well.
Awesome.
All right. Well, what else do we want to talk about round 8? Jeff, you want to give?
Yeah. Well, so hey, happy launch day, everybody. I have the opening bell, which this is the cowbell that we had created back when we launched our first Reg A in 2017, and so. But today we launched round 8 on Start Engine, and we've been working on round 8 literally for months, just to get everything set up, to refine all of our messaging, to get everything loaded into Start Engine. And a lot of people don't realize this, but as a company that's regulated by the SEC, Legion M, we do massive public filings and massive SEC disclosures. I think the one that we filed this morning, the legal document, along with all the amendments that were attached to it and exhibits, was like 135 pages. And it's like there's a lot that goes into it. Everything that we write, like for example, on the Start Engine page, goes through legal review from Start Engine, as well as CrowdCheck, which is a leading securities firm, to make sure, like they check all our contracts. Like, so we can't just go say, hey, we've got a new, we just sold a show.
We've got a new streamer deal.
They're the ones that actually go and check the contracts to confirm that that is indeed a fact and something that we can publicly say, because since Start Engine is the platform, they would bear some liability if it was, found out later that we were making, incorrect or misleading or fraudulent statements. And so preparing one of these rounds to go live there's a substantial amount of work that crosses everybody in the company, and also figuring out the rewards. And so, we're really excited about the rewards. We did rewards for the first time ever in round 7, and they were immensely successful. First of all the feedback that we had on them was positive. And, in round 7, you got to choose at the end of the round whether you wanted bonus shares in the company or if you wanted a gift card. And we had partners Alamo and Entertainment Earth. And I mean, the amazing thing was like 95% of people chose bonus shares. And so that heavily influenced our plan in round 8. The rewards that we put together, I think, we spent a lot of time and thought trying to make sure that they were fair and attractive and exciting. It's kind of a good mix. There's no choice. There's no election that you have to make. Everything is calculated on the Start Engine website, which is super nice. So when you go to invest, it tells you exactly, what you're going to get from it. And so, check it out. If you have any questions, let us know. 2 things that we just wanted to highlight, or actually 3 things. One is that for the first time, we have a Legion M investor bonus. And anybody who's invested in the first 7 rounds at Legion M qualifies for that. So you have to use the exact same email that you invested in the earlier round. It's the same email that you would log into Core Connects to get your shares. It's the same email that you used when you initially bought the shares on WeFunder. But if you create your Start Engine account, you're using that exact same email address. It'll actually show you that, oh, this is something that you qualify. And that is a bonus that goes on top of every other bonus that you see that's on that page. The way the Start Engine system works, there's a number of different bonuses that you could potentially qualify for. And the way the Start Engine system works is that it will choose whichever one gets you the highest bonus, and that's the one it'll apply to your purchase. But no matter what you get, the Legion M bonus will go on top of that. So it's just something I think is really cool. Paul and I always want to, all of us, like, we want to figure out ways to reward investors that want to come back and invest. And if you don't want to invest, like, that's fine too. Like, don't consider this like a hard sell or anything. Like, we set up the rewards. We wanted to give a special like, we're not.
Yeah, that's worth reiterating, just for those of you who are already invested. When we open a new round, our expectation isn't, oh, we're going back to our existing investors. The goal, I mean, we really appreciate it when anyone does invest, and we know there are a lot of you that invest in every round, which is like, wow, we really appreciate that. But the goal is to keep growing our community. And so every new round is really about growth and, and bringing in new investors. And so, it's worth reiterating and also just saying, look at, if you know people that might be interested, we never want to put a hard sell, and we don't really want you putting a hard sell on any of your friends or family or anything like that. We just don't think that's an appropriate thing. But if there are people, and, now that we're reaching an inflection point, I mean, we would welcome your helping us grow the community.
Yeah, that's actually the primary reason that we moved to Start Engine for this round, because we've had some questions, and we recognize that for some people, they might be kind of, it's a little bit of a hassle to have to set up an account on a new platform. I mean, it doesn't take a long time, to do. It's not difficult. But the whole reason that we're doing that is because we did 7 rounds on WeFunder, and we've got almost 30,000 investors that have, every single one of them have come from WeFunder, and we've made all these announcements with WeFunder. And to us, Start Engine, which is another leading equity crowdfunding platform, they have 500,000 equity crowdfunding investors that have invested in Start Engine companies. Or I don't know if that's investors or just people that have created accounts and are members of the Start Engine community. But we feel like that's kind of a virgin pool that we could go to, where we can introduce Legion M and hopefully bring on a whole bunch of new shareholders. Because I can tell you, as an existing Legion M shareholder, the thing that you want is us to get more shareholders, because the larger we get as a company, the more powerful we become, the stronger our competitive advantages become. And that's what allows us to, to reach the next level and where we're trying to go. So
Jeff, there's a couple of questions coming in about Start Engine. The first one is from SL Westerfield. Hello. It's
hey,
is everything going to
I know SL Westerfield.
Yep.
Vegas fam.
Is everything going to be transferred to Start Engine?
To Core Connects.
Well,
it'll all end up at Core Connects,
exactly.
Ultimately. Yeah. So
yes,
WeFunder is an entry point. Start Engine will be an entry point. but it all ends up at Core Connect. So ultimately, your shares will go into Core Connects, and it'll all be part of your portfolio. Hey, Jeff, I realized before we take any more questions, there's one more perk. I think you were still getting to the
oh yeah
of round.
Do you want to do it?
No, you go for it.
Okay, well, no. Well, actually, there's two other perks we should mention real quick. One is, and this is a hot tip. If you do plan to invest in round 8, you should do it in the next week, because there is a friends and family bonus period that lasts.
Didn't you say you weren't going to do the hard sell, and then here you are?
No. This isn't a hard sell. I'm just saying this is a hot tip. If you are planning to do it, right?
All right.
Then I'd encourage you to do it in the next week, because that's the best kind of deal that you can get. But the really fun perk that Paul's talking about is that every round 8 investor gets their name, or the name of a loved one, if you prefer, in the credits for Man in the White Van. And this is a perk that we negotiated with the film's producer, and basically, or sorry, with the financier. So we're hoping to have literally thousands of Legion M names in the credits, and it's super cool. And so we also there's a page where if you don't want your own particular name in it, but you'd like to kind of give that to your wife or your husband or your child or partner or whoever, you can go in and you can do that. So it's a really fun, cool perk that we're excited about, and a nice way for all of us to be a part of movie history.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning also we also will have our Legion M animated credit in this film. Mm-hmm. And so there will be a photo mosaic with all the pictures. We have to update it. So we're going to have a new version of that we'll be working on. So if you haven't uploaded your picture, go and upload it. And I think, Jeff, we might be having a new upload tool coming at some point.
Yeah. We're planning to have a new tool that's going to make it a lot easier to manage. Yeah. People don't realize this.
Doesn't have to go in and crop every photo.
Poor Michelle Carter had to go crop every single photo in that mosaic. Oh. And so, I think that we've gotten big enough now that I think we would break her. Yeah. By the way, shout out to Leanne Douglas. Her little Zoom image is the photo mosaic with herself circled, and I think that's super cool. So it's nice to know who you are, Leanne.
All right, Taylor, do we want to go? Jeff, that's pretty much all our announcements, right? Do you want to? Well, we have one more. Do we want to talk about stock split and then go to
before you
Q&A?
jump into it, why don't we just do one last start engine question? It should be quick.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Nathan was curious what the 105 minimum investment is about.
That is, so Start Engine has a minimum threshold on their platform, and you cannot have an investment of less than $100. And because we don't deal with fractional shares, like you can't buy half a share, $105, that's just the smallest number that you can buy that is more than $100. And so
divisible by 15. Yeah.
Yes, although we're not allowed to say.
That's true. Divisible by some number.
By some number.
By the share price.
Here comes the SEC.
That's so it's $100 minimum investment effectively, and that's something that again, as we move forward, we'd love to figure out a way to lower that, and we also that's part of the reason why, or that's one of the reasons why we're kind of looking at the stock split vote that we're going to do. Is so that we can get stuff that's a little bit more evenly divisible and set up the rewards. So I don't know, Paul, did you want to talk about the stock split, or do you want me to?
Well, I think we can be quick on it, and we've announced it. It's really, we're gonna implement a vote. This will be the first time that we've had a vote like this. So our proposal is that we do a stock split for the reasons that Jeff pointed out. Some of which is that, the share price has gone up. And just so everyone's clear, a stock split like this, the value your total value of your portfolio doesn't change. So it's like taking a $10 bill and getting 10 ones for it. The idea would be, what we're proposing is a 10-to-1 split, so that if the vote comes in and we approve it, if you have 10 share, or if you have 1 share right now, that would, after we implement the stock split, that would represent 10 shares at a tenth, each one being a tenth of the price on that day that we do the split. And what that does is it allows us a little more freedom to do some things, and it also creates a better base for growth, and especially because we're not, we're trying to keep that minimum investment low as possible. And so, at some point, our share price could make it really tricky to it's already making it tricky to accommodate the $100 minimum. So, and then there are other benefits as well, I think.
We're going to send out information on this, and like Paul said, this is up to the investors. So this is 100% going to be determined by our equity crowdfunding investors. And we're going to do a shareholder vote, and we'll send out information. If you're not familiar with the stock split, we'll try and explain it. Like Paul said, there's really not a lot to it. And ultimately, we're going to do what the community decides. So it'll be a good, it's a good first vote for us to have.
I mean, the bottom line is, what would you rather have, 10 shares or 100 shares? All right, 100 shares. Let's take 100 shares.
That's right. Awesome.
All right, so are there more questions?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions coming in. The first question is from Adam. Will the split be applied to the round 8 shares as well?
Yeah, so it'll apply to all the shares. It's literally every single shareholder, right? What happens, it's like the stock split affects us all at the same time. So the timing of everything is going to be, we'll be announcing it sometime probably in the next a couple weeks, or not announcing it, but sending out all the information. Then there will be a voting period, and we'll probably do a live stream or a Zoom meeting like this, kind of around that, like a shareholder meeting. But there'll be a place where you can go and you can cast your vote for what you want to do. And that should happen sometime in November. We haven't set an exact date. So that'll determine whether the split passes or not. And if the split passes, it will be implemented after round 8 closes. So it's not going to affect anything in round 8. But after round 8 closes, the split would happen, and then, like I said, it affects all the shareholders of every round and all the employees and other stakeholders as well at the same time.
Cool. Let's see. We got one from Scott Jackson. He says, "Are there any specific share buyback plans prior to any possible future IPO?"
That's a great question. We don't have any plans in that regard. It's something that we've kind of talked about. I mean, to be honest, we're in IPO. If you've read that, if you've read our materials, we kind of feel like it's probably 2 to 5 years away. It's not close enough that we're planning it yet, but it's not so far off that that we're not thinking about it and thinking about how that would work and evaluating kind of different options and paths to get there. So there's really, I don't know that there's anything more than we can say than that. There's really nothing planned in that regard in the immediate future.
Got it. Mike G asks, can you use a self-directed IRA to invest?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
In fact, WeFunder had a partnership with one. I don't think you need to do that, but I can tell you for a fact that I know multiple people that have invested using a self-directed IRA to do so.
Perfect.
But it's worth adding to that and something that we always say is that, Legion M is still, we're a startup. So people just, we want to make sure everyone understands the risks associated with that. We wouldn't want anyone investing, the lion's share of their
retirement savings.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to gamble with a little bit of it, that's perfectly fine. If you have any questions about that, reach out to us. We're happy to talk about it. Pretty much anyone that invests over a certain amount, we reach out and have a personal conversation just to make sure that they understand the risk. And I do
think the
think,
best
as we get
advice-
bigger, those risks, hopefully we'll we've beaten the odds. We're 5 years in, we've got growth, we've got all these, milestones that we're achieving, but we're still a risky, I would still say we're a risky bet. We're still in the early innings of a journey that, we're more energized and excited than ever about, but we do want to always just remind everybody that, even in our current phase where, it seems like so many things are going right, anything can happen. And we're still a vulnerable startup company. And so we have to continue to defy those odds and create.
Paul and I have lived through the nuclear winters, and like we've seen it firsthand, both with the companies. We founded Moby TV in 1999. And, just before the .com crash, and then just, had to survive for years, eking out, watching companies fail left and right around us. As entrepreneurs, we've seen dozens of companies fail. And again, there's so many reasons why a company can fail. Some of it's timing, some of it's luck, some of it's whatever. So like Paul said, the risk I think is far less now than it was 5 years ago when we started. But we're still very squarely in that category where if you can't imagine losing your entire investment, like that would then invest less, write a smaller check because, it's just, and that's not just for Legion M, that applies to any startup investment. And, frankly, look at Quibi. Look at MoviePass. Like these are, publicly traded, well, Quibi wasn't publicly traded. MoviePass was part of a publicly traded
very
company.
well-financed companies. Yeah.
Yeah. Pets.com, there's a lot of high-flying companies and things change. So
Awesome.
Anyway.
Yeah. And Brandy also
go
put some
ahead.
information in the self-directed IRA in the chat there. So let's see.
Good. Yeah, we should do a blog post about that sometime because self-directed IRA, it is a cool option again, not, for those that are interested. And there's some cool tax advantages too about investing in startups. We got to do a blog post about that because we've never really kind of talked about that. Again, it doesn't matter. It'll only impact us once we can IPO and it's actually worth it. But that is kind of a neat, a nice aspect.
2 questions came in about Start Engine not allowing investments from Canada. Is that a Start Engine thing or is that a SEC?
Yeah, that's
thing?
a Start Engine thing.
Okay.
I think, WeFunder did not allow investments from, there were a couple.
Oh, Jeff, I lost your audio there for a second. Are you back?
Oh, I can hear him.
Oh, okay.
You're fine,
It must just be me. Sorry. Can you repeat that?
Okay. Yeah. So I think it's a Start Engine limitation. I know that WeFunder didn't allow a specific province, but Start Engine doesn't allow anything from Canada or the UK. So if you're from one of those places, honestly, the best thing, unfortunately, there's really nothing that we can do. I know there are people out there that would like to sell shares for some reason. And so if you can find one of them and buy shares from somebody like that, I think that's an option. Or the other thing would be to wait until a future round, or, if you can find, if you've got a friend or a relative that lives in an area where you can invest, there might be a way that you could kind of work out something with them. Honestly, I don't know all the rules around all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure that I can't advise you.
You'd have to
try and bypass
shares in the back of their trunk when they smuggle them back into the country.
The hard part is trying to figure out how to mule them into Canada.
Let's see. So the next question is sort of about, I suppose it's perks that were from WeFunder. Will there be, Aaron asks, will there be opportunities to purchase additional red carpet premiere tickets as in one of the perks on WeFunder? Maybe we could clarify that perk and then also talk about what the perks of Start Engine are more geared towards.
Yeah, you want to take that, Paul?
Well, I can clarify whether or not we'll have additional premiere tickets for sale or not. It really just depends on the circumstances. And, as we saw over the last couple of years with COVID and everything, like how many people and what's allowed. But one of our goals, and I think this, one of the nice things about our ability to take more responsibility and control over projects is that we have a lot more capacity and freedom. We're not getting allocated tickets, we're allocating the tickets. I mean, we'll always have like a distributor that we're working with, or and other partners, but like on our last project, Arch Enemy, I think we were able to bring a significant number of people to that red carpet premiere. So we're not selling them right now. Like we can't sell them not knowing kind of the circumstances. But there will probably be other opportunities and if they're not for sale, because a lot of times we'll just do a lottery, where we can include people from the community get to come to the premiere. But with 30,000 investors in the community, we can't bring everybody to every premiere. But
well, Paul,
maybe.
Who says you can't have the premiere at the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past us.
I think that would be absolutely
Jeff,
epic.
you want to clarify the perk, for investing?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty, it's all laid out on the Start Engine site is the best place to do it. And it can sometimes be challenging, just so everybody knows. There's some really weird arcane SEC laws that prevent us from talking about things like the terms of the investment offering. And that's why we're kind of like we said that Paul can't mention the share price, or we can't really talk too much about it. So the best thing that I would suggest is go check them out on Start Engine. If you have any questions at all, just shoot us an email. Brandy, who's on here, I think is we literally respond to every email that we get at team@legionm.com, and we work really hard to make sure that we can. So if you got any questions at all, just post them on Start Engine, send them through. And if it's one-to-one communication, we can talk about everything. And especially if you have problems or issues, we don't want you to have to put personally identifiable information, or we can talk about your specific situation if you just reach out to team@legionm.com.
Awesome.
So, Paul, we should do some more questions, but Paul, you should talk for a minute about where you are in the world.
Oh, yeah. So I'm in New York City. I literally got to my hotel, checked in 15 minutes before this call started. So we're here. We're setting up tomorrow for New York Comic-Con. We're going to be here Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's really, aside from, we did the Silicon Valley or Silicon back in this summer, which was fun and it was nice. It was very small. So this is going to be one of the bigger cons that we're actually doing. Mandy's coming out, Claire's coming out. Prophetess from our accounting team's going to be out here. We've got several volunteers from the Legion coming out, and we're excited. We have a panel on Sunday. We have a booth. We're booth number 1149. If you happen to be in town and you're coming by New York Comic-Con, David's coming out as well. Did I not mention David? Yeah, David's going to be here. And we're also setting up other meetings while we're out here with some of the East Coast distributors and producers and talent. And we've got a growing relationship with someone that's going to be at New York Comic-Con. I don't want to jinx it just yet, but there may be another announcement that we're making in the coming weeks, or maybe even at New York Comic-Con if we can get it done. But there's a lot going on. We're excited to be back out in front of people and to have a presence. Of course, we'll be wearing masks and being careful. And New York Comic-Con has got a very robust. You have to upload your vaccination card and do all that in order to gain entry. So tomorrow we're going to be setting up, a lot of hard work setting up, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we're here. So come and meet us.
Awesome.
Super exciting. It's great to be, it's really great to be back in front of people and getting to talk to people in person, especially. So looking forward to all the cons that are coming up. Speaking of which, Joseph Stotman says that he'll be at SDCC Special Edition and LACC, and I think so will Carolina. in the chat. So excited to
Nice.
excited to see y'all out there. I've adopted
We
y'all
will
since I've been
definitely
to
be
Shreveport.
at Los Angeles Comic-Con for sure.
Yep.
And we haven't decided yet about San Diego. It'd be interesting.
Well, we know we're going to have some people at San Diego, so we'll probably at the very least do some kind of a meetup or a get together, but we don't know that we'll have a presence or anything like that yet.
Excellent. So let's see some more questions that are coming through. Forgive me if I've missed any of those as I go through these. One from Debbie Star Jackson was, will we be having merch for the Man in the White Van? If we will, do we know when? That's a good question. I don't want to speak entirely for Mandy, but from what I understand, there will be limited merch for this film just due to the subject matter of it, as it is a film, like an elevated thriller that sort of touches on the lives of real victims and everything. And so we're not trying to do too much merch from that standpoint. But I do believe that there will be some elements related to behind the scenes of the film and things like that. Yeah.
And we have a kind of a cool partnership that I think we'll be announcing in the next couple weeks, I believe.
We still have we have at least one more announcement on Man in the White Van, related to talent and other elements of it. So that's upcoming.
Yes. This is another question about, are we getting on board with Clerks 3?
Oh, it's a good question. So Jeff, I think you're going to the screening, right?
Yeah, tomorrow night, is a kind of friends and family early screening of it. And so we've been talking with them. I'm going to go and see Kevin and his team and check out the movie, and we'll see. I mean, obviously we love Kevin and we're super interested. This one's very different than Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, Legion M invested in it, because it was being independently financed, and this one Lionsgate, financed it. So there's not kind of that, Kevin didn't need investment from us. But there may very well still be an opportunity for us to get involved in some regard. So
so Kevin and Jordan and the team there are proposing to Lionsgate, and we sort of put some ideas together, but ultimately it's outside of Kevin's hands. It's up to Lionsgate, and they're holding off until they're further down the path. But fingers crossed. It would be. It'd be fun to get involved, but either way, we know Kevin, and we'll definitely work with him again at some point. We just had his book signing event last night. Claire was there.
Last night. Yeah. Claire was there. I haven't heard how it went. I assume it went.
It went well, I think. Yeah, from what I've heard.
Perfect. Let's see. I'm just looking around to see if there are any other questions. Let me just double check.
I saw the question from Brian Mansell about the 10-to-1 on the stock split. Oh, yeah. The question was, how did we settle on a 10-to-1 versus a more moderate 5-to-1? And it's really, we'll probably have a little bit more of a detailed discussion about this when we put out the materials, and especially if we do a live stream specifically about that. To answer your question, it's really about kind of where we want the end share price to be. And, like Paul said, this is all, we're kind of a victim of our own success, and that the rise in our share price creates some logistical challenges, which we'll talk about more, when we get into that topic. But that's kind of how we chose it, was just wanting to get it down kind of low enough so that it's malleable, so that there's some things that we can do. But to be honest, we'll have a discussion about it when we get into the stock split stuff.
Awesome. I actually saw another question in here about any updates on Dark Nights and Daydreams.
I know there is an update in the works, and it's some really exciting news, but I don't think it's ready to share. I did learn that Bob Niederlander is going to join our panel at New York Comic Con on Sunday. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. David mentioned that, but there is some really good progress being made on that project. So hopefully we there are multiple partners involved, and we just got to make sure that everybody is confirmed before we make the announcement. But you will be among the first to know, when we share that good news.
Scott Jackson asks, can you talk any further about the content sourcing strategy overall, either in terms of where we're sourcing it from, like internal, pitch fest, specific partners, and then also about sort of the genres and then the mediums that we're looking at, like TV and film. Like, how do we essentially find our projects? Sort of a broad question.
Yeah.
That's a huge question. We could probably.
We haven't talked about it lately, but I think it's a really good one.
It is. It is. We could probably spend an hour talking about this. Terry Pignon is pointing at Terry Lubrow. No, there's a lot that goes into it. Again, we talked about this at the outset. The fact the recent advancements that we've made as a company with our streaming project and Man in the White Van, I think is just opening more and more doors for us. As a company, we are super interested in figuring out ways that we can harness the wisdom of the crowd with things like Film Scout and projects that we've talked about, like Comic Book Scout or, reading clubs and stuff like that. So just at a high level, that's what I'd say. I don't know if Terry or Paul, you guys want to kind of add something. Like I said, I feel like we could spend probably an hour just talking about that.
Yeah. Can Terry chime in? Do you want to chime in, Terry?
Sure, I can chime in. I think the easiest answer is to say that we source projects pretty much from everywhere.
Yeah.
When we go to Comic-Cons or we look at script competitions, we take submissions from agents and managers and directors. And, I know most of the people on here are probably asking because they have a project that they want to pitch to us. It's hard for us to say to everyone, sure, send us your project, because we did that once when we were only 3,000 people strong, and we had, within a week, we had 1,500 scripts to read, which if we had gotten through all of them would have taken David Baxter and I a year and a half to get through. So that's not a way that we can actually legitimately source project from our community, but we're constantly polling and asking for ideas. And, from a practical perspective, if you hear we're going to be at a Comic-Con, I've always said, if you have a project that you'd like to bring to our attention, take the time to come out and meet us, let me get to know you a little bit. I almost always say, yes, please send me your project once I get to know you. It's no longer an unsolicited submission at that point. So I would just encourage you to get involved with the Legion. That's a great way for us to get to know you and start to read you.
Yeah, and one thing that, Jeff kind of alluded to it, and it is something that people are probably aware of what we do with Film Scout, which is a really clever and unique way for us to get the community, get the insight, harness the wisdom of the crowd, and get input from the community to make better decisions about films. And that is something that we want to apply toward books and literature, but also comic books and possibly to scripts as well. And so it's something that we really want to develop over the next, especially now that we're opening up all these doors to sell projects into and to get projects financed. We really need to expand our development slate. And we have been, like, you've seen a lot of announcements about that. I mean, we've probably, quadrupled the size of our development slate, and we need to make it even bigger and keep going. And we're going to do that. So our reading club, like that aspect of it, is something that, we have some partnerships in the works there, but it's also something that we want to develop as a community into another muscle that Legion M has, is that we have this ability to, collectively, read content and help make projects, make better decisions on projects. And, one of my favorite projects is still Defiant, and one of the projects that I'm really excited about. We're working hard on that. On it right now, but we are working diligently toward it.
Going to tell me about Defiant?
And that project came to us from our community in a very organic way. It came up through our member community. Many of you were probably a part of that buzz and kind of getting our attention on that project, and then having another investor, one member of our community had written a script, and then us optioning the script and we're working on that project right now to try to make it into a film. You've probably seen some of the stuff that we've done, the public stuff that we're doing, but for me, that's like the perfect prototype of a project. It's a project that came to us, and there was enough noise around it that we wanted to pay attention. We reached out and said, wow, look at all this excitement around this project. And then we were fortunate, and coincidentally that one of our investors had written a script on that very subject, and now we're developing it with Bill Duke and the Wolper organization, and talking to top talent in Hollywood about getting them involved. So
yeah. I think, for me personally, like that is one of the real superpowers that we as a company can have. And I feel like that we're just barely tapping. So I'm going to call an audible here. Brandy is going to hate me, but one of the things that we've talked about as a company, like Terry said, the problem is if you throw the door opens for scripts, we're going to get a deluge of scripts or books or whatever we're kind of asking for. And we've always thought that the way to handle a challenge like that is to have a legion of script readers or book readers that can read that stuff and help the separate the ideas that make sense. So like I said, Brandy's going to hate me, but at the expense of that, if you would be interested in being a reader, either a script reader or someone that like a book scout or something like that, who occasionally we would say, hey, here's something that we want you to read. We'd have to train everybody so that how to kind of read a book or read a script and how to assess it. But if that's something that would be interesting to you, send an email to team@legionm.com and say, I'm interested in being a reader. And what we'll do is we're going to start to build a list there. And I'm just curious because we've got, looks like we got 80 people on the Zoom right now. And I don't know how many people are, streaming probably, but let's just start to build a list and see what sort of resonance that we get.
Yep. Agreed.
Awesome.
All right. Any more questions? I know we're
a little bit over.
Scheduled a half hour or 40 minutes, and we're over an hour.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions here. Let me make sure. Apologies, anybody, if I've missed you in the chat here. Let's see. So from Michael Beers, besides giving investors a chance to be on camera and background, are you going to offer investors with acting and crew experience a chance to be involved in other ways?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're doing that. Anytime we start a production, like we usually, one of the first things we do is go out with our production needs. And I know in this case, we have people that are part of the community working on set in Shreveport. So yeah, I mean, the answer is yes. I mean, whenever possible, we want to staff with our community in mind.
We actually had someone here on set. One of the
one of our featured extras came from Legion M.
Yeah.
She raised her hand and said, "Put me in the movie," and we were like, "Okay."
Yeah. And so just to be clear, we can't do that for everyone that says it, but if the circumstances are right and we need.
She happened to be in this area. I think she was SAG.
Yeah, we cast her. She was a featured extra.
Yeah, she fit
all
all
that. We will always choose a Legion M person when we've got the opportunity to choose a Legion M person. And go ahead.
We also have Glenn Gruff here. He's a Legion M investor.
Our locations guy happens to be a Legion M investor.
He's our assistant location manager.
Yep.
There you go. So there you go. Michael, there's your answer. Absolutely, positively. I mean, one thing we may want to, like anything else, we're still a young company, and that may be something that as we mature.
Guys, we're gonna go on set. I'm gonna hang up.
Okay,
we can
where, we notify everybody and they can submit. I mean, we did sort of do that in this case. And, I think some of these, having a, like a process where, when we announce a project, this is what we're looking for. If you're a candidate and you have these skills or you meet the requirements, let us know, and we'll put that into the consideration set. It's worth noting that a lot of times, we're making some of the decisions, but we're not the final determinant. We're working with the director. Sometimes he may have a cinematographer, or people that he or she wants to work with, and we respect that, of course. But I mean, like we said, we'll keep saying it. We would absolutely, if we could do everything just within our community, we would. I mean, that would be ideal.
It's also worth noting, in addition to staffing, trying to open, like the set for visits. COVID really hit us hard on this one because we had plans to have constant set visits. We were going to set up a whole program so that Legion M investors could come to the set and spend a day on set and, get a set tour and, have a set person that's going to manage all that. And the problem was that with the COVID restrictions, like if you guys were here earlier, we were talking about COVID, you just can't do it now because a COVID infection would literally shut down the movie and could jeopardize the entire thing. And so, we had to scale way back our ambitions or eliminate completely our ambitions. Like we've had people on set for Arch Enemy and Jay and Silent Bob reboot and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully once that's COVID gets settled down a little bit further, that's one of the things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love so much to be able to just kind of like lead tours through set and everything, especially because there's so many amazing people that you work with every day, and getting to kind of watch the process happen is very cool. So we're hoping that what we'll be able to do is share set with everyone via a fairly robust behind the scenes series that we've been working on here in Shreveport. Which we'll hopefully be able to share later on down the road as we get closer to the theatrical release, to kind of at least give people a window into being on set as we wait for COVID to finally be erased and then go back to bringing people physically to set. So yeah.
Awesome. Should we wrap it up?
Last question that we that I saw is with the current. Oh, this is from Michael. With the current growth of the company, has anyone approached you about a buyout?
Not a buyout for sure.
What's that? Not a buyout.
I would say not a buyout, no. Right? Like a buyout is kind of a weird thing for a fan-owned company, right? Because it would be hard to be the world's first fan-owned company that's owned by Disney, for example.
Right. That bought out all the fans.
Yeah. Well, that bought out the fans. There is possibilities, I think, that, like someone could come and make a strategic investment in Legion M. And, who's to say? I mean, there are conceivable routes where something like that, could make sense. But I don't think that, at least for me, this is just my opinion. This is not a forward-looking statement. It's not a projection. It's not anything like that. But it seems like, we would be on a path to IPO, is my thought.
Yeah. I think that's the most likely outcome. In some way. I mean, it's worth noting that we have had some, there are a lot of bigger companies that really like the idea of Legion M and, are kind of interested in us and, wanting to partner with us. And, there are elements like that. And that's kind of where we're keeping the conversations right now. So I think, we just keep building and growing and, then we'll be that big company. We'll be looking at who we want to buy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It is also really cool because I feel like with companies, and again, like a lot of people, if you're not in the startup world, you don't realize it. But when a company is like trying to structure themselves for a buyout, a lot of times what you do is you're positioning yourself, to make your financials look as good as they possibly can just for the buyout. So like, for example, if you might fire your whole R&D department because that's going to make, less salary, which makes your finances look good, which may help you with the buyout, but then you're creating a problem because you're not investing in new technology that's going to get you to the next level. And so I feel like exit strategies like that can create artificial constraints on the company, or bad motivations to kind of make short-term gains at the expense of the long-term. And with Legion M, we're not focused on exit at all in any way. Like, when the time is right, that will happen. Instead, we're literally just focused on how can we make the company as valuable as possible. And I think that that's really, to me as an entrepreneur, it's a good, very healthy place to be.
Yeah. Well, and we mentioned this in our press release this morning, we don't have a specific timeline, and of course we can't promise anything. But our goal is to take the company public. We're already kind of operating as a public company, with 30,000 investors. We do audited financials. We're compliant with the SEC. We're doing the vast majority of what it will take for us to be a publicly traded, like an officially publicly traded company. We need to grow, we need to keep growing our revenue, growing our community, growing our projects. But at some point, it'll be a very logical thing for us to say, okay, at this point, it makes sense for us to be listed on a public exchange. Like I said before, we cannot promise you that that's happening anytime, in the near term. But it is our goal. Our goal is to get to a point where we are on a path where we can start telling you, look, this is our goal. We're going to, this is the revenue numbers that we want to have, the community numbers we want to have, the projects that we want to have. And at that point, that's when we would take the company public. And this is how we want to do that. And, and it's frankly, it's one of the reasons why, the partnership with Garrison is really interesting to kind of see another company kind of doing, not competitive to us and actually very beneficial to Legion M, but doing something unique where they are, creating, they're turning their startup into a publicly traded entity right away, and then raising capital into that. And that, that's something that'll be nice for us to have a front row seat to and see how it works and what works about it, what doesn't work about it, what we like. And, we're always gathering and accumulating insight and information. And I would say right now an IPO is the most likely outcome if we continue to be successful.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Awesome.
All
right. Well, thank you for all your awesome questions and for coming
tuning in. Yeah, this is
celebrating
great.
with us. And let's just keep building. This is we got a good thing going. I mean, Jeff and I are serial entrepreneurs. We can tell when something's working, and we can tell when something's not working. And this is work. I mean, this is working. We still have a long way to go, but we're defying the odds so far, and we've got we say it all the time, but we're more energized than we ever are, and that goes for the whole team. Everybody is so passionate and excited about the opportunity that we have. And, we also feel, a sense of responsibility to you. You guys have invested in us and have, put us, had the confidence to put your hardworking money behind us. And, we don't take that lightly. Our goal is to make that, one of the smartest investments you've ever made. We're gunning for it.
I can tell you from experience, it's a lot more harrowing to spend money from our community than it is, Paul's and I, first company, we raised over $100 million from venture capitalists. And not that we were, irresponsible or not, but it's like, there's just this added stress. Like literally when we're talking to people, we feel like it's this, all these 20s and hundreds that people have given us that we're responsible for, making smart and wise investments and using wisely. So it's extremely important to us. And
we're very scrappy for that reason, in a good way.
No, I want to
Awesome.
echo that too. Anytime I'm like, for example, I'll give you a good example. Anyone who invested $125 in Legion M, you could be the one who bought me a light for my camera that I needed because we are doing all night shoots. And I could not physically have recorded the behind the scenes for this film without what is comparatively a very somewhat inexpensive light, but that's somebody's $125. And whoever you are out there, I appreciate you because I needed
I think that was Leisha.
Oh my God, I needed it so
must have
badly.
been.
And
I thought it was Joseph.
And it's going to make this worth everything. It's going to make the behind the scenes so much more valuable. So.
And then do they get the light when you're done with it,
yeah,
Taylor?
Yeah, and then I'll mail you the light when I'm done.
Awesome.
All right.
Joseph,
Well,
all right.
thanks
Well,
for
thank
hanging
you.
around. It's awesome to see everyone. Look forward to meeting up in person, and hopefully anyone in New York, come see us. We're going to be out there all week.
All right. Take care, everyone.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thanks,
See ya.
everyone.
Bye.